So very good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Let us start the session. Last week I could not take because of some health issues of my mother. She admitted in hospital. I'm sorry for that. Today, let us continue our session. Today will be the final class of second unit. It's a second unit is a very, very small unit. Before proceeding further, let me give a quick glance of what we discussed in the last class. In the last class, we were discussing about the factors affecting plant location, wherein the several factors were discussed. The first one is the nature of input or the raw material. Depending upon the type of the raw material, we locate the plant, how it is. Suppose if the cost of the transportation of the raw material is higher than the cost of transportation of the finished goods, then it's better locate the plant near to the raw material. We considered examples of cement industry, sugar industry, because cement industry requires lime. So wherever the lime is available, the cement industry will be located near to that place. Otherwise, transportation of the raw material will be costing you very high. So like that, it can be sugar industry, or it can be oil refinery, or it can be steel industry. Wherever the raw material is available, near to that location, the plant will be identified. And then depending on the nature of the output also, we decide the plant location sometimes. Suppose the finished product, whatever you are dealing with, it damages due to transportation to a longer distances, or it may get spoiled when you transport it for a longer time, then it is not advisable to keep it away from the market. You have to locate your plant near to the market. Suppose if you consider the examples of Coca-Cola or Pepsi, the beverage bottling companies, they are very near to the marketplace. They are not kept at any remote place. Okay. So in order to avoid the spoilage or the damage of the finished goods, we keep the plant near to the market. The third category that we discussed was nature of the technology employed. What kind of technology are you using in your industry? Is it harmful or is it unfriendly to the human being or to the environment? Then better you locate that kind of plant very remotely away from the human beings. Let us take the example of a nuclear plant, okay, which is supposed to be harmful or unfriendly to the living conditions of the human being. So it will be definitely kept isolatedly. Similarly, airports, which creates a lot of sound pollution, they are kept at a far distance from the residential locations. So it all depends upon what kind of product you are dealing with and the technology that you are using. And the fourth factor that we discussed was availability of the labor and their skill. So what kind of labor you require? Skilled labor or semi-skilled or unskilled? What kind of labor you need? So depending upon the skillness you need, your plant should be located. Because if you prefer a rural area, you may not be able to get a skilled labor. Okay. So depending upon the skill set you require, you have to identify a suitable location where the labor are available. And then you should also look into transportation facilities, wherein like air transport, road transport, rail transport, or maybe water transport, maybe you have shipyard nearby. That all depends upon what kind of product you are dealing with. So your product should have adequate transport facilities. So you should identify the location that way. And then we also look into the availability of the services, like do you have the availability of the gas, electricity, water, waste disposal system, communication systems, drainage system. All these type of services are needed even for the people who are working in the industry. So we also look at this factor. And then suitability of the land and climate. This is another major factor to decide the plant location. So what kind of environment you have in that area? What is the average temperature? What is the rainfall, or what is the humidity you have? So that also a major factor, particularly in the last class, I gave the example of software industries. They try to locate their industries where the average temperature is low, okay, and humidity is low, okay. Mostly it will be less temperature regions like maybe Bangalore or Hyderabad, okay. So these are more suitable for software industry as well. And then you should also locate the plant in such a way that you must have an opportunity. Yeah, any doubt? 301, do you have any doubt? Am I audible?
Sir.
Okay,
Sorry, sir.
right. Yeah, so opportunity for expansion, the plant location, whatever you have chosen, whether you have enough land for future expansions, that also you need to take care. And finally, we looked into the political, cultural and economic situation of the region. Like political instability may also create a lot of disturbance for the functioning of the industry. And also there are some cultural restrictions, like in few regions, of course, now we don't see that, but in some regions, there may be a restriction on women to work, or there may be a restriction on people coming from other areas, other states, or other countries. The local people may not allow them to work. If you have any such kind of problems, that area is not preferable for a plant. And also, finally, you should look into the special grants, regional tax, and import export barriers of that state or of that region. Whether the state is encouraging with any special grant to establish your industry. If you have such kind of incentive from the state government, better you adopt it. Or is there any tax exemption on importing or exporting the finished goods or the raw material? So these are the things we discussed in the last class. So today, let us continue our discussion on the last part of the unit, which is plant layout. So the previous part is plant location. In the second unit, we discussed about value engineering first, various techniques including fast diagram, and then we discussed about plant location. Now we are coming to plant layout. Once you decided the plant location, how are you going to arrange your machinery inside the plant? That is called as the plant layout. So plant layout means disposition of the various facilities, that is equipment or the machinery, material, human resources, and utilities of the plant within the area of the site selected previously. Already have selected the site. Now, how are you going to arrange the machines, equipment, material? Because there must be identified space even for storing the raw material, or storing the semi-finished goods, or storing the finished goods. And there must be a identified space even for the human beings, where the manager has to sit, where the supervisor has to sit. Okay, what is the area identified for the worker? Okay, like that, every person should be identified with some space. Okay, so preparing such a layout is called as the plant layout. Disposition of the various facilities means locating the various facilities, okay, inside the plant. That is called as a plant layout. So the plant layout begins with the design of the factory building. First of all, you have to design the building, and goes up to the location and movement of the individual work table. It is just not the building plan. Inside the building, you have to go to the minute level, like what is the location of individual work table. Let us suppose that a lathe machine is there. One particular lathe machine, maybe 101 is the lathe machine. This 101, where I have to keep, okay, the location. Okay, suppose if you are dealing with material handling equipment, so from which location to which location the material handling equipment will move. So all those things should be defined. So all the facilities like equipment, raw material, machinery, tools, fixtures, workers, they're all given a proper place so that the objective of layout will meet. objective of layout could be minimizing the transportation time. Okay, so this is what the definition of plant layout. Now we will discuss in detail about various objectives of any plant. Let me list out a few objectives. Handling and transportation of the material is minimized. I hope everybody agrees with that. In any plant, you should minimize material handling. That means you should not carry the material from one location to another location very frequently. Minimize handling, because handling the material creates a lot of problems. Sometimes it injuries to the worker who is handling the material, or the material itself may get damaged while handling. So as far as possible, try to minimize handling of the material, and also minimize the transportation of the material from one location to another location. So in such a way, you have to prepare the layout so that the transportation time is reduced. Next, the other objective could be bottlenecks and points of congestion are eliminated. What do you mean by bottleneck? Bottleneck mission means, I explained you in the previous classes also, it is the mission, it is the slowest mission in the industry where the raw material will be waiting to get processed, because this particular mission is taking a lot of time in processing a job. When it is processing first job, the second job, third job, fourth job, all of them are getting piled up, waiting for this mission to get free. So bottleneck missions you need to reduce. Wasting time for waiting to get processed is not advisable. So you need to avoid bottleneck missions. If a particular mission is taking more time, better you have multiple missions of that kind, so that you will save time in processing the material. You cannot depend upon only one particular mission. And also points of congestion. While you are moving on the shop floor, there shouldn't be any jamming of the metal handling equipment. Okay. So it must, the metal handling equipment must move smoothly on the shop floor without any jam or without any congestion. You should eliminate those congestion points. Workstations are designed suitably and properly. Adequate space must be given for every workstation and the worker. And suitable spaces are allocated to production and service center. See, there are production missions, there are servicing there is servicing center also, wherein few identified labor are allocated to service the missions. So all the spare parts and the servicing equipment, they will keep with them. So there must be a servicing center. If the equipment is small, the equipment will be carried to the servicing center. Or if it is a huge equipment, then the people will come to the equipment and then service it. So you need to have the space even for that. The movements made by the workers to be minimized. Workers should not move here and there very frequently. Their movement should be restricted. And then waiting time of the semi-finished goods is minimized. Semi-finished goods means a material which has completed processing on few missions and waiting for the next mission to complete the operation. So these are called as semi-finished goods. That means if the job is having 10 operations, let us say 6 operations are over. That is a semi-finished goods till it completes the rest of the 4 operations. Next, working conditions should be safer, better, and improved always. There is an increased flexibility for changes in the product design and for the future expansion. Let us assume that the product design is slightly changed. Okay, and your layout should allow that. Even if there is a slight change in the product design, you should be in a position to accommodate it. And also your plant layout should be in such a way that it should give scope for future expansion. If you want to add one more mission, you should have space for that. Next, there should be an utilization of cubic space. While storing material on the shop floor, let us assume that there is a semi-finished goods. Semi-finished goods which has completed operation of the first mission, and it is waiting for the second mission to process. So meanwhile, they are temporarily stored on the shop floor. If you lay down all such semi-finished goods on the floor, they may occupy more space. Instead, why don't you store them in a three-dimensional space? You have to optimally utilize the factory space available. That is lengthwise, widthwise, as well as height-wise. So then you can accommodate more number of semi-finished goods or the raw material or the finished goods in a lesser space. So that is one more objective of the plant layout. Next, there are improved work methods and reduced production cycle times. Always you should strive for refining the method of doing a particular work so that it takes less time. Okay. And then plant maintenance should be simpler. Okay. Every industry will have a preventive maintenance wing. Before actual machine breaks down, they will take care by preventive maintenance. They will avoid the future breakdowns of the machine during idle time of the machine. When the machine is not working, it is free for, let us say, 4 hours. Just 4 hours, overhauling of the machine will be done, or the preventive maintenance of the machine will be done, so that sudden breakdown of the machine while processing will not occur. And there is increased productivity and a better product quality with a reduced capital cost. This is one more objective. Productivity should improve. With a lesser input, you must get greater output. Quality should be high. And at the same time, your capital investment should be less. So these are the general objectives of any plant layout. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So let us discuss about the principles of plant layout. More or less, whatever I'm going to discuss, they are based upon the objectives just now we discussed. Okay. What are the principles of plant layout? This is another important topic. The first one is integration. It means integration of production center facilities, like there will be workers, there will be machinery, and there is raw material. You must properly integrate these three. What do you mean by properly integrating these three? Worker should move less on the shop floor. And at the same time, raw material should be moving lesser distance. Okay. And machinery are arranged in such a way that too much of back and forth movement of the material is avoided. So worker should be able to conveniently use raw material to load on the machine within less time. Like that, you have to arrange the setup. Okay, worker should not move here and there. Suppose the raw material is somewhere else in the warehouse. Every time he need not go to the warehouse and bring the raw material. Okay, so workers, raw material, and machinery, they are properly integrated so that within less time, the processing happens. How do we do that? Means by a balancing technique. Maybe those who have attended automation course in the last semester, they might be knowing line balancing methods. Okay. Maybe we can discuss in future whenever we get such an opportunity. So here you have to properly allocate workers with the machines and raw material so that they take less time to process it. Minimum movement in material handling. Okay, once you logically arrange them, obviously movement will be reduced. The number of movements of the workers and the material should be minimized. It is better to transport material in optimum bulk rather than small amounts. So let us assume that you are handling raw material. Are you going to handle only one raw material at a time? That all depends upon the size and bulkiness of your raw material. Suppose the raw material that you are using is less bulky. Then at once you can bring up 50 or 100 pieces of raw material near to the machine using a container. Okay, so that every time worker need not move to the raw material location. At a time he is moving 100 pieces of raw material to the machine. So one after the other is completing. So as far as possible, deal optimum bulk rather than small amounts. Why it is in optimum bulk means whatever the quantity you are moving, that should not create obstruction for others to move on the shop floor. It should not occupy large space as well. Okay, it should occupy less space. At the same time, more number, if they're available, your transportation time every time can be reduced. So that's what it is. The next one is smooth and continuous flow. This is another principle of a plant layout. As we discussed in the objectives, bottlenecks and congestion points should be avoided. If there is a bottleneck mission, try to arrange one more mission of such kind so that production time reduces. Congestion points means the path along which your material handling equipment or the workers are moving. It should be wide enough so that there shouldn't be any jamming or congestion while in opposite directions the material handling equipment is moving. And this backtracking should be minimized as far as possible. Backtracking means suppose a worker is moving back and forth, or the raw material is moving back and forth. Okay, it is moving forward and coming back again to other mission, moving forward again, coming back to the other mission. So that actually wastes the time of the material. So that should be avoided. Okay, for that we will use proper line balancing technique. So in the automation subject, we discussed about largest candidate rule, ranked cluster algorithm, okay, Kilbridge-Wester method. There are different techniques to properly balance a production line. Then, as we discussed in the objectives, again, the principle says cubic space utilization. Besides using floor space of the room, it's not only the floor, even the ceiling height can be utilized. Vertically also you can store. Okay, cubic space, length, width, as well as height you have to take into consideration. So boxes or bags containing raw material or goods can be stacked one above the other to store more items in the same room. So we can also use overhead material handling equipment. Let us suppose that overhead crane is there. Overhead crane can take out the topmost material and carry it to the required destination. So such kind of material handling equipment also you can use. So thereby, cubic space utilization will be done in any industry. The other principle is safe and improved environment. Working places should be safe, well ventilated, and free from dust, noise, fumes, odor, and any other hazardous condition. This is very, very important. Otherwise, workers cannot work comfortably. If you take care of all these safety issues, that will definitely increase the operating efficiency of the worker. Otherwise, he will get fatigued or he will be tired very soon. Suppose if he is working under a dust environment or a noisy environment, then he cannot work for a longer time. Okay. So if you take care of all those things, his morale will be improved and it leads to satisfaction among the workers and thus better employer-employee relation. Flexibility. In automotive and other industries where models of the product change after some time, it is better to permit all flexibility in the layout. Normally in automobile industry, we see every year or every alternate year, models get changed. It can be a four-wheeler or it can be a two-wheeler. So whenever the model changes, maybe a few more operations may get added. So your plant should have flexibility to deal with the additional operations that you have to take care. The machinery are arranged in such a way that changes of the production process can be achieved with the least cost of disturbance. There shouldn't be major disturbance on the plant layout. With the little disturbances, maybe one or two machines can be relocated so that the new model can be carried out smoothly. And the other factor influencing is the material factor. This includes the design, variety, quantity, necessary operation, and sequence of various material used in production system. So material is also very important. This you should take this into consideration. What is the design of the material you are going to produce? And what is the variety of the material and what status it has? It is a solid material or a semi-solid material or the liquid form? What kind of material it is? How much quantity you are dealing? What is the necessary operation and the sequence of operations to be carried out on that? Depending on the sequence of operations, we prepare a layout. Accordingly, we will keep the missions. The missionary factor is another one. This includes producing missions, tools, and their utilization. What kind of missions you are using? Are they general purpose missions or special purpose missions? Okay, to what extent you are utilizing them? Are you going to use them for mass production or for a job shop production? What for you are using these missions? Depending on that also, we prepare a layout. If it is a mass production, these missions are kept in a serial order, depending on the operation sequence. Man factor. This includes human resources employed in production system for supervision, service, direct and indirect workers. That means what kind of human resources you are using, how many supervisors are there, how many managers are there, how many workers are there, okay, how much is the space needed for them, okay, and what is the movement they have on the shop floor. Everything you need to take into consideration. The last one, the movement factor. This includes intra-departmental movement. That means interdepartmental means within the department, what is the movement? Suppose you are dealing with, let us say, a production department. Within the production department, what is the movement? Intra-department means between production department and other department. Let us say production department and stores department is there. What is the intra-departmental movement? Okay, of man and material for transport and handling. So all these things are taken into consideration while designing a plant layout. Okay. And there is another factor we consider, the waiting factor. This includes permanent and temporary storage of the finished goods, semi-finished goods, and raw material, which are delayed for dispatch and processing. So while you are preparing the plant layout, you must identify some space for material storage. Whether it can be a permanent storage or it can be a temporary storage. When does temporary storage occur? Temporary storage occurs when it is semi-finished goods, waiting between the missions. Okay. Permanent storage means for a longer time you are going to store the material, finished goods. Okay. Or it can be a raw material, bulky raw material you have procured. For a longer time you are going to store. So for this permanent storage and temporary storage, you have to identify the proper space on your layout. Service factor. This includes maintenance, inspection, waste disposal, scheduling, and dispatch. You have a separate wing, service department is there. You need to identify the space for that. The building factor. This includes outside and inside building features, utility distribution, and equipment. The entire building as a whole, you have to look how many missions it can accommodate. Okay, utility distribution, let us say a packaging and painting section is there. Do you have the space for that? Okay, or are you going to do it outside? Whether it is outside or inside, you need to identify the location for every activity of the production. The change factor, this includes flexibility and expansion for future activities. So these are all the principles of plant layout. They are almost in line with the objectives, whatever we discussed at the beginning of the class. Now, the last part of this unit is the types of layout. I hope most of you might have come across these layouts while discussing in different courses. There are 4 basic types of layouts. The first one is called as the process layout, which is also called as functional layout. The second one is product layout, is also called as assembly line. Third one is the combination layout, and fourth one is the fixed position layout. We shall discuss one after the other now. Yeah, this is process layout. I think several times I even discussed in the previous classes. In process layout, we group similar missions in one cell. Let us assume that there is a lathe section. In this lathe section, you will have several number of lathe missions. These are all the lathe missions grouped at one location. We call that as a lathe section. Similarly, there is a drilling section. Number of drilling missions are kept in the drilling section. Like that, shaper, broaching, milling, inspection department, and of course, this is stock, final finished products may be kept at there. So if you group the missions and arrange this way into different departments or the cells, this type of layout is called as process layout. Now here, yeah, maybe a different kind of layout also I can give. In the previous classes I might have given. Let us assume that this could be one type of process layout where the raw material is entering from one direction. Here lathe section is there, here milling section is there, here drilling, shaper, okay, broaching section is there, inspection department is there, painting section is there, and it can be stores. So once the raw material enters from one location, suppose for the first operation it has to go to milling machine, it will go to milling machine. For the second operation, it may have to come to broaching, it will come to broaching. Third operation, it may go to lathe. Fourth operation, it may go to drill. Fifth operation, it may go to shaper. And then finally, it may go to stores. Okay. The second part, which is entering here, the second part may have different operation sequence. First, it may be going to drilling. Okay. Then it may come to shaper. Then it may come to broaching. Then it may come to lathe. Then it may go to painting and then stores. So here, process layout actually deals with batches of products. One batch sequence is different from other batch. So in this case, we cannot arrange the missions in a proper sequence. Okay, because when the product is changing, sequence of operations are changing. You cannot arrange the missions in a one line. So that is the reason why we are going for functional layout or the process layout, where the similar missions are grouped at one place. Okay. So whatever the product it may be, depending upon its operation sequence, we send it to particular department. Okay. So in the picture, whatever I have given initially here, there is no path I have shown. I have not shown the path here in which it is entering. Okay. So yeah. So this is a process layout or the functional layout. Let us see what are the advantages of this. Advantage is wide flexibility exists as regards to allotment of work to equipment and workers. There is a flexibility. That means irrespective of the operation it needs, any product can be allowed into this layout. We take that product to the particular section. First operation on milling means we take it to the milling section. Second operation lathe means we will take it to the lathe machine. So there is a much flexibility here to deal with the different variety of the products. Better utilization of the available equipment. See, all the lathe machines kept at one place can simultaneously process different parts. Let us say 10 parts are entered into the lathe section. There are 10 machines. Simultaneously 10 operations are going on. So better utilization of the equipment. Better product quality because supervisors, workers attend only one type of mission and operation. What do you mean by this? Suppose a worker working in the milling section. Okay. Let us suppose that there are 4 milling machines. On these 4 milling machines, there are 4 workers. These workers, what they are doing, always they are operating milling machine. So when the main task is only to operate milling machine, very soon they will become perfect in operating milling machine. And they will be in a position to handle different kinds of products which needs milling operation. Okay. So obviously the quality will also improve because all the time he's working only on milling machine. He knows very well how to handle the machine. So product quality will be good because the worker is not dealing different types of machines. Always is dealing with only one type of machine. And supervisor, there is a supervisor for this milling section. Always he is supervising only these 4 milling machines, let us say. He will also be good in guiding the workers, and he will also have good knowledge of different milling operations. That is the advantage of process layout. Variety of the jobs make the worker more interesting for the workers. Okay. And then workers in one section are not affected by the nature of the operation carried out by another section. This is a milling section. Beside milling section, there is a welding section. Now, as all of you know, while welding is being performed, the rays which are coming out or the light which is coming out during the welding operation, that is harmful to the human being eye. So the workers who are working in this milling section, they are not exposed to welding section because it is a separate section. So the nature of work in one section is not affecting the work on the other section. That is another advantage of the process layout. Then what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages is, for the same amount of production, process layout needs more space. This is being told in comparison to the product layout, which we are going to discuss now. Compared to product layout, process layout requires more space because similar kind of machines we are forming as a cell and separate space is identified for them. Okay, separate room is allocated for them. They are occupying more space there. Okay, like that, every department will occupy some space on the shop floor. Then, automatic material handling is difficult. We cannot use automatic material handling. Let us suppose that if you consider automated guided vehicles, AGVs, okay, wherein we program AGV, and based on your program, AGV will move from one location to another location and carry the material. So naturally, automatic material handling is more comfortable in product layout, where the movement is always fixed. Movement is not changing very often. Always in the same direction, material has to move. In that case, we can use material handling, automated material handling. But when the path is changing frequently, when the movement of the material is changing frequently, then you cannot go for automated material handling equipment. It is tedious. Every time you have to reprogram it. Okay, so that is difficult. And completion of the same product takes more time. Suppose if I want to manufacture a product in a product layout where the machines are arranged as per the sequence of operations, time taken will be less in product layout. Whereas in process layout, time taken is more because too much back and forth movement of the material is there. All the machines are not arranged in a proper sequence. So obviously time taken will be more. Similarly, work in process inventory is quite large. Work in process inventory means job which has finished operation on one particular machine waiting for the other machine. Okay, so here let us assume that the job has completed operation on milling machine. Next, it has to go to drilling section. For that, it has to wait for transport equipment till it reaches. Okay, it will wait for some time. This transport equipment will take this material to the drilling section, where the drilling machine may or may not be free. There it has to wait again. So likewise, work in process inventory will be large compared to product layout. And the other disadvantages are production control becomes difficult and also needs skilled manpower to carry out a variety of the jobs on a single machine. Jobs are changing. Maybe every week the new job is coming, let us say. So production control is a difficult task because supervisor has to understand, first of all, what is the design of this new product, what level of quality we need to maintain. Worker has to understand. So it becomes a little difficult. Okay, and then raw material has to travel larger distance for being processed to finished goods. This increases raw material handling and associated cost. As we discussed already, too much back and forth movement of the material is there. So travel time is obviously more, and hence cost will also increase. Material handling cost will also increase. And it needs more inspections and efficient coordinators. More inspections means every department should have an inspector now. Milling section should have an inspector. Lathe section should have an inspector. Okay, unless it is cleared from there, then only it will be proceeding to the next department. Okay, there must be efficient coordination between the departments as well. And some examples of process layout are hospitals, universities, office buildings, workshops, fabrication shops. These are all the examples of process layout. That means there is an identified space for every activity. If you consider university, There is an identified space for main office. There is an identified space for departmental office, identified space for HOD room, faculty room, classrooms. They are located differently, is it or not? At different spaces, labs and all. Likewise, office building or hospitals, intensive care unit, general ward, emergency unit. Likewise, there is a space identified for every kind of activity. So are you clear with the process layout so far? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me proceed to the next type of layout, which is called as a product layout. So here, this is also called as a line layout because the missions are arranged along a line. That is also called as a line layout. Normally, product layout we use for mass production. Okay. Let us understand how it is here. This is the storeroom here. Okay. From the storeroom, raw material is entering. And this is the final stock room. Finished goods will be kept over here. Now, for making a particular product, let us assume that 3 types of material it requires: X, Y, and Z. X, Y, Z are the raw material. Okay. Let us assume Y is moving along the line. Y material, it is processed on mission A, mission B. At the same time, material X is also processed on mission D, mission E, mission F, mission G. Then at W, this X and Y are assembled. Okay, W is the station that is between B and H. At W, X and Y are assembled. This assembly is processed on mission H, mission I. Meanwhile, the raw material Z is processed on missions L, K, G. And at station V, Z material, this Z material is assembled with X and Y. Already X and Y are assembled here at W. X and Y assembly is coming here, processed on H and I. Z is coming this way. So at station V, X, Y, Z are assembled. So this total assembly is then processed on mission M, N, O, P. See, these missions can be heat treatment or painting section, or inspection department, like that. Okay. So here, if you observe, the material is moving always in the forward direction. There is no back and forth movement. Did you observe any back and forth movement either with the material X or material Y or material Z? No. Always they are moving forward. Okay, of course, they are getting processed parallelly and getting assembled at different sections, but the movement is always forward. Okay, so here I quoted a typical example. So in some cases, you may be having only one line like this, A, B, C, D, only one line, only one raw material. Here I quoted a typical example where 3 different raw materials are there, but it can be one raw material itself getting processed. Right? So this is called as a product layout and also called as a line layout because Y is moving along a line. X is also moving along a line. Z is also moving along a line, only in the forward direction. Okay. So this is a typical line layout. Advantages include less space requirement. This is compared to process layout, I'm telling. Less space requirement for the same volume of products compared to process layout. In the process layout, what we did, we grouped all the lathe machines at one place, all the milling machines at one place. They're occupying rooms, is it or not? But whereas here, all the machines are kept one beside the other. These machines are located as per the sequence of operations needed on the product because the product is not changing here. Same product is being processed every day. So machines are also arranged in the same way. So finally, the space occupied by them will be less. So automated material handling, you can use here. You can have an AGV, automated guided vehicle, which can be programmed to carry the material from one location to another location. Or you can have conveyor belt, which carries material from one location to another location. So automated material handling is possible here because the same product is being manufactured always. So here, lesser material handling, human beings are not handling. These are the automated material handling equipment. That too, lesser distance every time they are handling. One mission to another mission, the distance traveled is less. So which obviously reduces time as well as cost. Less in-process inventory. We don't have the material waiting to get processed. Okay, because one after the other, missions are kept one beside the other. The job just smoothly move on from one mission to another mission without any stoppage in between. So in-process inventory, temporary storage is very, very minimal in case of product layout. Product complete in lesser time. Better coordination and simple production planning and control. Once you plan, that is enough. Okay, initially you may be taking some time to plan everything. So once you plan, every day the same activity is going on. You need not change the plan. Smooth and continuous workflow. Less skilled workers, because most of the product layout missions are automated missions, because we use them for mass production, where human involvement is less, wherein just the worker purpose is to load and unload the job, where you need less skilled workers. Okay. What are the disadvantages? This layout is inflexible. We have to agree with this. Even if you change the product, see, if you change the product, that layout will not be useful. Okay. That layout is meant for one particular type of product. If you alter the product, that sequence of missions is no more useful. You have to change the entire layout, which costs you very high. The pace or rate of working depends upon the output rate of the slowest mission. What is slowest mission? That is bottleneck mission, which consumes more time. So your rate of production depends upon that bottleneck mission or slowest mission. So because of this slowest mission, there is excessive idle time of other missions. See, there is a number of missions here. So suppose this mission is bottleneck mission, which consumes more time. When this is taking more time to process a particular job, all the remaining missions are idle because they don't have the job to process. Isn't it? This mission is taking more time. So what is the alternate for this? Is the disadvantage of product layout. What is the alternate for that? That means you need to arrange similar kind of missions, more number of similar kind of missions, which whatever is bottleneck. So some load is taken by the other missions, so that the downstream missions will get the product quickly. Mission being scattered along the line, more missions of each type are required for keeping them standby. Because if any mission in the line fails, it may lead to shutdown of the complete production line. Yeah, whatever I said now, that is also applicable here. I gave this example as a bottleneck mission. Let us assume that this mission is under breakdown. If this mission is under breakdown, the rest of the missions are idle. To avoid that, we arrange similar type of missions in more number, so that there is an alternate immediately. Though it involved less supervision as compared to process layout, sometimes it becomes difficult when one inspector has to look after many missions. In the earlier case, process layout, one inspector used to see only one type of missions. All milling missions he used to take care. But now he may have to take care of a part of the product layout. Suppose he is responsible for 3 or 4 missions of different types. Then it is somewhat difficult for him to handle. Okay, it is difficult to increase production beyond the capacities of the production line. Whatever the capacity you have, you cannot increase the production beyond that. It all depends upon the mission capacity. Okay, we have lost 2. I think in the next 5 minutes we can finish off that, so that we can complete this unit. I will extend for 5 more minutes. The third type of layout is a combination layout, which will take advantages of both process layout as product layout. Most of the industries, we see this kind of layout only. Here you have a storeroom. Here you have the final product which is coming out. In the storeroom, there is a raw material. Here, F, G, H, I, they represent different missions. Okay, they are arranged in a product layout. F, G, H, I. They are in a line layout, isn't it? One after the other, missions are kept in a sequence. But if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they represent similar mission. That means F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. They're all similar missions. All of them may belong to lathe. Similarly, G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, they are all of one category missions. Let it be milling section. So here what we are trying to do, suppose if the product that you are going to manufacture is of minimum variety, it's not a large variety, it's only a minimum variety you are handling, then you can take the advantage of product layout and process layout. How? All the similar kind of missions you are keeping in one row, all similar kind of missions like this. These are all similar kind of missions. These are all similar kind of missions. All of them you are keeping in one row. It is similar to process layout. I hope all of you agree with that. Similar to process layout. But as the job is always requiring first operation on F, second operation on G, third on H, fourth on I, all these mission cells, they are arranged in a line. Horizontally, they are arranged in a line. So is it not a mix of process layout as well as product layout? All of you agree with that? Can anyone answer? Is it the combination of process layout and product layout?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is called as a combination layout. So this combination layout is also useful when number of items produced in the same sequence. That means always items are produced in the same sequence, but in fewer quantities, not in bulk, not like mass production. Okay. And it is not advantageous to have single production line for each product. Okay. Suppose only one product layout also not advantage for us because there is a little change in the variety. So in that case, we are using this. For example, if you consider refrigerator or TV manufacturers, there are some models. Every company makes 3 or 4 different types of models of refrigerator or 3 or 4 different types of TVs. So they are actually using combination layout. Whatever the TV it may be, whatever the refrigerator it may be, more or less the sequence of operations are same. Okay. So because the sequence of operations are same, the missions are arranged in the same sequence. But maybe one type of TV may be manufactured using F1 mission, other type may be manufactured using F2, other type may be using F3. Okay, like that. So these different missions are engaged in handling different types of models. In some cases, you may be doing assembly. HI may represent, let us say, assembling of the components. Okay. So whatever the type of model it may be coming, they just simply assemble there. So here, what we are trying to do is, we are arranging the missions in the same order because all the different models you are handling requires more or less similar operations, except there can be variation in 1 or 2 operations. Okay. So few missions are dedicatedly allocated for few type of models. So combination layout is used in such cases where the variety is minimum, but sequence of operations are more or less same. Thereby we are taking advantage of product layout as well. The last one is fixed position layout, wherein, see, in all the previous 3 layouts, material is moving from one location to another location. But here in the fixed position layout, material is always kept at one place. Okay. Now, men or mission or equipment, stationery or the components, component material, whatever, they're all coming to one spot And there, the product is being built. The best example is the shipbuilding. You cannot carry ship from one mission to another mission. Ship is built at one place. Missions will come to there. Welding missions will come there, and all the other power tools will come there. Okay, transport material will come there. Equipment will come there. Labor will come there. Okay, so everything will come to one spot, and then there the product is built. So that's what is defined here. Men and mission are moved to the material which remain at one place. Okay, and completed at that place where the material is fixed. Advantages include, it is possible to assign one or more skilled workers to a project from start to finish in order ensuring continuity of the work. That means only maybe few workers, skilled workers are allocated for work. Right from starting to finishing, they are engaged in building the product. There is a continuity of the work. It involves least movement of material. Once you start building at one place, all the material is built there itself. You are not moving the material from one location to another location. And there is a maximum flexibility for all sorts of changes in the product and processes. Irrespective of the process or the product you are dealing with, when it is built at one place, there is much flexibility. Any mission or any labor can come there and build. A number of quite different projects can be taken at the same layout. You can build a turbine at one place, you can build a ship, you can build an airplane. Okay, different types of products can come under this fixed position layout. Disadvantages include, it is usually involves a low content of work in process. Okay, there appears to be low utilization of the labor and equipment. See here, you don't see many semi-finished jobs, and also low utilization of the labor and equipment, because suppose while building the product, one worker is doing a welding operation. While till he completes that operation, other worker cannot engage, isn't it? Because the worker who is previously working, he will obstruct the other worker to work. So like that, utilization of the labor and equipment will be less. And it involves high equipment handling costs, because everything is to be brought to the same spot. Handling costs will increase. So applications include layout by fixed position of the product is limited to the large items, mainly shipbuilding, aircraft manufacturing, as I told you, turbines, boilers, all such kind of major equipment are built using fixed position layout. Okay, so this is at a glance I want to give, that is for your understanding, the difference between all the three layouts. Of course, combination layout is combination of product and process, but the basic layouts are these three. These three become basic layouts. Combination is a derivation of these two. So the comparison is with respect to product, workflow, human skill, material handling, capital requirement, and other items. If I consider product, manufacture standard products in larger volume, that is product layout. Why? Because it is using a line layout. Missions are arranged in a sequence. They are used for mass production. Obviously, larger volume of production will be there. Process layout, it manufactures diversified products, variety of volume, varying volume. Okay, product variety is more in process layout, and volume also differs depending on the product. And fixed position layout, this is made to manufacture. Depending on the order only you manufacture here. Workflow, material flow is in straight line and sequence of operation is same in product layout. Whereas in process layout, material flow is variable and different sequence of operations. Whereas here in fixed position layout, no material movement or very little, because everything is done at the same spot. Human skills. In product layout, highly specialized in routine and repetitive tasks, limited skill. You are using, let us say, special purpose mission. Mission itself is producing in larger volumes. The skill is required is very less. Whereas in process layout, you are dealing with variety, so skill required will be more. Fixed position, very high skill you need, because right from starting to the ending, the entire product is built by only few Labor. So high skill is required. Material handling, it is a systematic flow along the line. It is a variable flow process layout, and fixed position layout also variable flow from different places. The general purpose equipment will be brought near to this fixed position. Capital requirement, large investment on special purpose missions, moderate investment on general purpose missions, and here also moderate. I told you in the previous classes why we go for special purpose missions in product layout or mass production. Mass production needs special purpose missions to produce in larger quantities. Whereas process layout, general purpose missions like lathe, mill, drill, like that, they cost less. Product cost, relatively high fixed cost, low variable cost. That means fixed cost is towards missions. Initially, special purpose means cost high. Variable cost is towards labor. Okay. So low variable cost, unskilled labor are required. High investment on missions. So obviously high fixed cost. Process layout, relatively low fixed cost because general purpose missions you are purchasing. High variable cost, skilled labor you need. You have to invest more on labor. And fixed position layout, relatively low fixed cost, again general purpose missions. High variable cost, highly skilled labor you need. Production time, it is less because special purpose missions are there. Process layout, high production time. Obviously, fixed position also production time is high. And lastly, space utilization. Efficient utilization because you are arranging the missions in a sequence. Whereas in process layout occupies more space compared to product layout. You are forming cells, grouping missions into different parts. And then finally, here in fixed position, small output per unit space. Only one product you are developing. Okay. But you are using the space a lot. You are bringing all the missions. They occupy more space actually. Okay. So these are the differences between the three layouts. With this, we complete unit 2. Are you clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, please. Any doubt? Any doubt you have? Okay. If not, I will upload this material onto Canvas today. You please go through this once again. Okay. It's a very, very small unit, second unit. You can quickly finish off this. Okay. Good luck. We will meet in the next class again.